Welcome to the Box Score Sports Podcast.
Let's move on to probably the most shocking series, but by me and your standards, because we're gonna have to eat some crow here, Luke. Luke, I almost called you Luke. I saw Luke on my page. Luke, but Clint, we have to eat some crow here because I think both of us had the Pacers losing this series in five, and what we have right now is the Pacers eliminated the Cavs in five. Let me just hit you with my big takeaway of why they won this series, and then we'll go into what you took away from this series. Um, Really, it comes down to 3-point percentage. One player on the Cavs shot above 35% from three, only one the entire series. The Pacers had seven players over 40% shooting from three, and they also averaged 29 assists, which just proves their ball movement. It just works the flow of their ball movement. I think it was Bill Simmons that said they kind of like remind them a little bit of the Spurs, but a lighter version of the Spurs because they don't have like a Tim Duncan. But I think that's really what determined this series, along with injuries and stuff. But I didn't want to focus on the injuries right away. Just the ball movement and the shooting from the Pacers were superb. Where the Cavs, who shot 38% as a team in the regular season, they didn't even hit 34% as a team. So it was a rough series for them.
Yeah, I thought I saved the tweet. I guess I didn't, but it had the Pacers shooting to go with you said. Like as a team, they were like 35.5% in regular season, and they're just shy of 40% in the playoffs. And it had like Nemhard shot 29% from three in the regular season. He's at 50% for the playoffs. Like just about all of their players were up, 5 to 15% in shooting. Which again, I say it not as much on here, but process over results a lot of times, but sometimes that's oversimplifying it. And I think sometimes there's too much of that, myself included. Because process wise, we should still be playing the series. I mean, the Cavs for two and a half of these games looked like the Cavs we thought we were going to see. And then they weren't the Cavs that we thought we were going to see. So that's what happens. A series is just a small sample size. And in 5 games, the Pacers were hot. The Cavs, frankly, looked nothing like outside of a few spurts like we thought. And the Pacers play a certain brand of basketball. And what stuck out to me is I feel like the way the Pacers play is similar, as you said, like Bill Simmons said, Spurs light, ball movement going. But it dawned on me watching it because during the Bucks Pacers series, like I complained how many times, like, how do we not know we're switching? How are guys just left open? And I'm watching the Cavs, especially the game last night, same thing. Like, how do you not know you're switching? How do you know who not to help off of? And it dawned on me, and I'm going to sound like old man yelling at the clouds, but I feel like the Pacers have exploited the lack of certain fundamentals in today's game. And the Cavs make a shot, the Pacers grab the ball and inbound it right away. And you can't press them. I mean, you can, but it's the Cavs, similar to how the Bucks did, the Pacers make a shot and they just meander over, pick up the ball, and then the Pacers set their full court pressure, their pressure.
Yeah.
When the Cavs started coming back there in the fourth, they started doing what the Pacers were doing. And if a shot went in, they grabbed it and inbounded it right away. And then you get past half court by 20 because they can't set. So as much as I truly despise the Pacers, you have to give them credit for the way they play. It's if you took the players out of it, some of the players I don't like on the Pacers, it's fun to watch.
Yeah, I think like it's sort of like part of it too is just the exhaustion, right? Because as you go throughout a series and as you play a game, the further you get into the game, the further you get into the series, when the team constantly is running on you, constantly running on you, it's just mental lapses. So you're right. I think it's about fundamentals, but it's also, I think, mental toughness that's not there with maybe where the Cavs need to be. And part of it, I think, is they don't have the perimeter defenders that they need to compete in this series, which is, I want to get back to that in a second. Because I'm beating myself up over one of the principles that I have when building a roster. But Even like Mitchell, he averaged 34 points this series. It wasn't an efficient 34 points. He shot 42% from the field. That's not efficient. Like everything that the Cavs did was hard, and it's partly like you said, it's because they would walk the ball up. They weren't pushing the pace. And I think that's partly because like in your mind you're like we can't play their style basketball. We still have to play ours. And maybe the point is like okay, no, what we need to do is just run with them and outscore them because our defense is a little better. So as the times we get in the half court setting, we'll get stops whereas the times they do, we should still be able to score on them. I don't know if that's the answer, but like you said too, the Pacers are just hot right now. I just Halliburton found his shot in this series, 54 from the field, 45 from three. He was I think he had averaged 12 assists in this series too. He was really good in this series, and partly because I don't think they have perimeter defense that can guard someone like Halliburton.
Yeah, they really struggled, and I think to what you were saying, you don't even have to run with the Pacers. You just have to run to get into your set. Like there are several possessions they get it across at 18, and then all right, now we got to bring the guy up to set a screen, and then you're under 10, and you've run one action, and the Pacers are like, cool, like we haven't really had to do anything defensively. We're just out here putting pressure, and then you bail out and run, try to take a free throw jumper, you miss it, and guess what? The Pacers catch it and go because you had five out, you had guys spaced to the corner and above the break on each side, and no one's directly back. So it is a good exploitation of today's game, and you know the path to the finals for the Pacers is crazy as this sounds. It's open. They beat the Cavs, albeit some injuries that we can get to, but you're not going to have to face the Celtics, and the Knicks are the Knicks. They're good, but they're almost kind of like similar teams in how they're going to approach this.
Yeah, yeah. Now yeah, no, agree with you. Um, let's hit on the injuries just very briefly because I don't want to make excuses, but it is part of the context of this series. The fact that Garland only played 3 games, and clearly you could tell he was not himself throughout the series. He was definitely not as quick or explosive, and his shooting percentage, you could like even from three was really bad, and I think that's partly because of his toe injury. And also with that, there was game 2 where they were missing 3 of their guys. And then, so clearly they were banged up. Now everyone's kind of banged up in the playoffs, but it seems especially Garland was hurt to an extent that if this was like regular season, he probably wouldn't have played in these games and healed up. So it was a little bit of a factor in the series that we have to admit, like, the Pacers, as great as they were, I don't want to take anything away from them, but they kind of get a little bit of a little bit of a what's it called, a break. They get a little bit of a break because the injuries seem to have affect at least Garland for sure, like his play throughout this series.
Yeah, and again, like you said, you don't take anything away because you beat whoever's in front of you,
Hmm.
regardless. And as we've seen, you know, uh, frankly, no one will care in the future if you win a title because someone got hurt. I mean, there'll
Correct.
be some sour fans, but guess what? The banner will still be up there if you pull it out, regardless of who you beat. Um, so it's just you brought it out. Just we heard about the Cavs all year, like as a fairly deep team, and then you watch this series and you're like, I don't think they're that deep of a team. Like the Pacers are a deeper team than the Cavs. Um, and I text you. I need to swerve into the. I call it the Bill Simmons because in the beginning of the year he'll be like, the Celtics are going to win it all, and then halfway through the year he'll be like, well, I noticed some of this, and then at the end of the year you can play either side. Like I did warn you in December there were some flaws, so I did doubt the Pacers. I mean the Cavs a couple times, and I really thought I was going to be kick myself if the Thunder would have lost last night. But I think we're further away than ever from actually understanding how good these teams are because the Cavs and Thunder were probably the two most dominant teams we've seen in a long time. And the Cavs are out. Even with a little injury, you probably should do better than 5 games.
Yeah.
And the Thunder are fighting for their lives against the Thunder, against a Nuggets team that I think all of us outside of Jokic are like, is there anyone awesome on the team left?
Yeah, no, Agreed. And I think we're seeing more of a difference between regular season and playoffs. Like, right? Like the officiating is different, which I really wish they'd fix because you should just make the regular season officiating the same as playoffs because it's much more entertaining. I think you'd get more eyeballs and then we'd have more of a sense of who they are going into the playoffs. I think we got bamboozled in that way. I do want to add real quick before we move off this game too. Max Strus had a comment saying that if you're not up for coming back in this series, basically don't sit this one out, basically this game out. And he shot 0 for 9, and I wanted to make that. I just put that out there because I thought that was kind of funny. I love his like confidence, but dude, you can't shoot 0 of 9 if you're gonna say something like that.
Well, he decided to sit the game out. He got in foul trouble, and then he was, he looked so bad they pulled him a few times. Like, if you're not gonna make shots, bro, we got to take you out. But yeah, I also think if you called the regular season kind of like you call the playoffs, I think it'd actually be easier on players injury wise because you would have slower paced games.
Yeah, good point. Last thing I just want to mention is at the beginning of the season, I did say that I didn't think the Cavs were going to be a contender, right? That was my point. And I kind of said I was wrong, leading up to it. Now the injuries helped, so I'm not going to take a full victory lap. But the biggest reason why I said that I think the Cavs aren't a contender was I just felt their roster was weird, and I think it's going to be hard for any team to win when they have two guards that they rely so heavily on that are 6'3" and under. And neither one of them are known as defenders, but when you're 6'3" and under, it's hard to be a good defender. And I just want to remember that for next year with my two guard principle. Like, you can't have two guards under 6'3" and under that you rely on so heavily. And if you do, I just think you're going to have a hard time in the playoffs because it gets more physical, harder to score, and there's already a height advantage that you don't have and all the other stuff. So I just wanted to point that out. I should have pushed harder on that and been like, I'm not buying this Cavs thing. Unfortunately, I didn't push hard enough, so I can't take a full victory lap for that.
I thought of you with that. It was a random play. I think it was actually in the first quarter when the Cavs were doing good. Donovan Mitchell took like an above the break three on the right, missed it. It was kind of a long rebound. He sprinted all the way back, like just hauled it all the way back, ran into the paint, and then just stood there and did nothing. And I think it was Siakam that was running, stopped, and then kicked it out. And Mitchell just didn't leave the paint. Like, he was like, I did my job, I got back, did nothing else. And it's just one of those where you're like, that defense, like, he tried and then was like, good enough. And they gave up. And I think the Pacers made it. But that stood out as one of those where you're like, they're just, Donovan Mitchell is a lot of things. Defense isn't one of them. Same with Garland. And the Pacers exploited that probably more than I gave them credit for.
Yeah, agreed. And last thing, this is part of the like I'm gonna say with Atkinson won Coach of the Year, correct? That's who won it. I still think the Pistons not winning I'm a little salty about that. They didn't win a single award this year for their accomplishments of winning 3 times as many games as they did last year, being a 6 seed and stuff. I think that's egregious. Not 6-man, not nothing. I think we need to look at Coach of the Year a little bit strongly. I think, what did they win last year? They won 53 games last year, and they had a bunch of injuries. So this year they're healthy, and they win 64, and I love Atkinson. I think he's a better coach. But I guess my point is, I really think Coach of the Year should have went to JB Bickerstaff because, like, with the Thunder or with the Cavs, they have a loaded roster. They were healthier. They were going to improve. Where you have a team that wins 14 games go up to 42. I just don't understand how we rate Coach of the Year just because they won 11 more, being a 53 win team, winning 11 more games when your team is healthy. I don't think is a good reason to give Coach of the Year. That's just my opinion.
I would agree. I think sometimes we default to, we knew this team was good, but they look different.
Mm-hmm.
And in the long run, it wasn't that much different.
Right. Yeah, correct. Okay, let's move on to anything else on this. Okay, Pacers, moving on. Okay, let's go to the other series here. Wolves Thanks so much for watching this clip of the Box Score Sports podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to our channel. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter or X. And we'll talk to you guys real soon. See ya.